Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look into the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. In this review, I'm going to start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip, and go over the performance data. Of course, I'll take it on a thorough drive and show you many of the unique aspects throughout the interior as well as exterior. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in, start her up, and let her run. A big thanks and shout out to Jeff D. Ambrosio, Alfa Romeo Fiat, for providing this opportunity today. For more information about the dealership, including contact info and current inventory, please feel free to check out their website provided in the description box below. Along with the remote access smart key system, the Giulia comes standard with push-button ignition. To start, make sure you have the key fob within the interior, then put your foot on the brake and hit the steering wheel button to go. Alfa Romeo is making a big comeback with the all-new Giulia, which is set to compete alongside the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, Jaguar XE, and the Cadillac ATS. That's certainly no small task. A quick glance over its seductive bodywork should be enough of a hint that this car is something special. It's a fresh face that caters to those who love to drive and love to express themselves. As someone who's relatively new to the Alfa brand, this car was an experience unlike anything else I've driven in this segment. The Quadrifoglio has a definitive heart and soul that's immediately apparent as soon as you press the accelerator. No matter if you're looking at one of the turbo 4-cylinder models, which start at $38,990 for the entry model, $40,990 for the Giulia TI, or the hopped-up $73,595 Quadrifoglio, the Giulia is full of emotion. Of course, the focus of this video will be on the latter. The others will come in a future review. What I appreciated the most about this car is how everything works together in harmony. For me, this is the segment's new benchmark. Sure, it has some quirks, but none of that really matters. The Quadrifoglio is a proper sports sedan that makes its lasting impressions not by looks alone, but the way it behaves on the open road. The Giulia's all-new rear-wheel drive architecture benefits from a high-strength steel body that extensively uses lightweight materials to keep weight down where it matters the most. For example, aluminum makes up the front and rear subframes, front shock towers, hood, doors, the front and rear door frames, fenders, and various suspension components. The Quadrifoglio takes it a step further by replacing the hood and roof with unique components made of carbon fiber to lower its center of gravity. All Giulia models feature a class-exclusive carbon fiber drive shaft, a key component in achieving the car's near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Like the hood and roof, the rear spoiler, rocker extensions, and active aero front splitter are also made of carbon fiber. The Quadrifoglio's styling is aggressive and highly functional to alleviate heat more efficiently, provide additional cooling, generate downforce, and achieve an impressive 0.32 drag coefficient. Up front, the Fascia sports massive air intakes, and something that's quite unique in this segment, an active aero front splitter. Alfa Romeo claims that the Quadrifoglio is the only sedan in the world to have such a device. When traveling at speeds greater than 71 miles per hour, or when additional stability is needed, it'll automatically deploy to provide up to 220 pounds of downforce. The hood has two heat extractors and dual latches to keep it secure. Prominent fender vents alleviate positive pressure from the wheel wells. Aside from the spoiler and rear diffuser, the most noticeable differences out back are the stacked quad exhaust tips. They're a beautiful way to finish the car off. The underside of the Quadrifoglio is kept mostly flat with plastic covers and sound deadening material. This ensures a clean trail of air makes it to the rear, where it's manipulated further by plastic fins and a large diffuser to generate even more downforce, while NACA ducts facilitate cooling the rear differential. This example finished in Rosso Competizione Tricoat and equipped with dark 5-hole wheels, Harman Kardon audio, a carbon fiber steering wheel, and all of the driver assistance tech you could ask for, retails for about $79,000. The Giulia nameplate has been around since 1962, but the history of the Quadrifoglio symbol on the fenders dates back to 1923. It was first applied to a car by a superstitious Alfa racing driver by the name of Ugo Sivocci to be his good luck symbol before entering that year's Targa Florio, which was an open road endurance race held in the mountains of Sicily. Under the 4-leaf clover, he took victory, breaking his bad luck streak of years prior. However, a few weeks later he was testing out a new Alfa at the famed Monza Raceway. A lack of time beforehand prompted him to begin before the Quadrifoglio could be painted on for good luck. Unfortunately, Ugo was involved in a crash that day and sadly lost his life. From that day forward, the 4-leaf clover became synonymous with Alfa Romeo's high-performance offerings in race cars, a tradition that carries on to this day. While the original clover was encased in a square, all future clovers were encased in a triangle. The missing point symbolizes the loss of Ugo Sivocci. The Quadrifoglio is offered with 2 different wheel styles, each of which can be had in either a bright silver or a dark gray finish. The classic 5-hole wheels shown here are a $500 option. All wheels measure 19 by 8.5 inches in front and 19 by 10 inches in the rear. They're wrapped in 245/35 and 285/30 Pirelli P0 Corsa tires respectively. With this setup, the Quadrifoglio can handle about 1 G of lateral acceleration. Befitting its power and track abilities, a high-performance Brembo brake system is standard, consistent of cross-drilled and internally ventilated discs and aluminum monoblock calipers. Up front, you'll find 14.2 by 1.26 inch discs paired to 6-piston calipers. The rear supports with 13.8 by 1.1 inch discs and 4-piston calipers. Red painted calipers are standard, while gloss black and gloss yellow calipers are available for no additional charge. Depending on how much abuse you plan on putting the brakes through, carbon ceramic brakes are also available. Alfa Romeo claims they can bring the car to a stop from 60 miles an hour in just 102 feet. The standard brakes can't be too far off from that as they're exceptionally strong. With the Quadrifoglio's innovative integrated braking system, you don't have a traditional electronic stability control unit and brake booster. It's all combined into a single electromechanical system that measures brake pedal stroke, delivers the appropriate amount of pedal feedback, and relays this information to provide the necessary level of stopping power that's almost perfectly proportionate to how much pressure you apply to the pedal. It's highly communicative and even allows for the ability to vary brake pedal feel through Alfa Romeo's DNA Pro system. But more on that in just a bit. Curb weight for the Quadrifoglio is about 3,800 pounds, which makes the power-to-weight ratio about 7 pounds per horsepower. That's class-leading. Alfa Romeo claims the Quadrifoglio's torsional rigidity is also class-leading and that the steering is more direct than any other competitor, which sounds like the perfect recipe for a proper sports sedan. All you need to do is take a drive through some countryside and hit some curves. You might even describe it as being telepathic in the way it handles and responds to your inputs. Most importantly, straight-line stability is spot on. The car is just as happy in the turns as it is on long highway trips. The steering ratio is a tight 11.8 to 1 and it takes about 2.3 turns to lock. The rack and pinion design features variable electric power assistance. The turning circle is measured at 37.5 feet. Underpinning the Quadrifoglio is a fully independent suspension with double wishbones in front and a semi-virtual steering axis, while the rear is supported by a patented Alpha Link design with a vertical rod link. Adaptive dampers are standard. The Quadrifoglio is equipped with Alfa Romeo's DNA Pro Drive Mode selector. It includes an exclusive race mode that yields maximum performance by activating the overboost function, opening up the exhaust, firming up the suspension, disabling stability control, and delivering the most brake and steering feel with the most aggressive engine, transmission, and throttle tip-in calibrations. Dynamic mode is a step below that. While not quite as aggressive, it is a noticeable improvement over natural mode, which is more or less the comfort setting that keeps everything in balance for day-to-day use. Advanced efficiency should be used if you wanted to prioritize fuel economy, as it optimizes the car accordingly and enables cylinder deactivation. The dampers vary their firmness accordingly based on changing road conditions and driving behavior, but they can also be controlled via the button in the middle of the dial. Even when stiffened to their fullest, the Quadrifoglio rides surprisingly well. The magic behind the Quadrifoglio is a Ferrari-derived 2.9-liter V6. It's quicker and more powerful than any other production Alfa up to this point. The engine is constructed using a 90-degree cylinder layout that's both lightweight and compact. Aluminum makes up most of the engine, including the block and heads. The pistons are made from forged aluminum, while the crankshaft is made from forged steel. The valve train consists of chain-driven dual overhead camshafts with dual variable valve timing and 4 valves per cylinder. Fuel is delivered via high-pressure direct injection, accompanied by a compression ratio of 9.3 to 1. Maximum engine speed is just north of 7,000 RPM. Air is taken in forcefully thanks to a pair of single-scroll IHI turbochargers. Air-charged temperatures are kept low with a pair of intercoolers mounted on either side of the front fascia. The turbos are integrated into the exhaust manifold and feature variable boost management for improved throttle response, especially in the low RPMs. Together, they deliver up to 35 psi of boost, which translates to 505 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 443 pound-feet of torque between 2,500 and 5,500 RPM. The Quadrifoglio can accelerate to 60 miles an hour in 3.8 seconds and reach a top speed of 191 miles per hour. With the automatic transmission, it also lapped the Nürburgring in 7 minutes 32 seconds. Sure, it's fast, but what's arguably more entertaining is the aural symphony emitted through the dual-mode exhaust system. Depending on the drive mode, it progressively opens up as you push the car, but in race mode the exhaust opens fully, creating one of the best-sounding V6s I've ever heard. Part of the joy in this car is simply letting the revs climb and taking it all in. It's a real treat. In Europe, the Quadrifoglio is available with the choice between a 6-speed manual or a ZF 8HP75 8-speed automatic transmission. However, US cars will only be sold with the automatic. Torque delivery at the rear wheels is controlled by a twin-clutch rear differential that improves traction, power delivery, and control through torque vectoring. While an amazing transmission in many regards, the automatic simply can't replace the engagement of a good manual. However, it's nearly as responsive as a dual-clutch transmission while remaining impressively smooth. In fact, the Giulias can change gears in about 100 milliseconds. Being that the ats-v and M3 still offer manuals, this might turn some folks off, but if the C63 is any indication, a proper automatic can still deliver. Even to this day, I can't get over how incredible the paddle shifters were in this car. For one, they're positively massive and always within reach. They're also made from aluminum and feel great in your hands. Each shift is accompanied by a satisfying clink. EPA estimates for the Quadrifoglio range between 17 miles per gallon in the city and 24 miles per gallon on the highway. Expect an average of around 20 miles per gallon. Premium 91 octane fuel is required. It's all held within a 15.3 gallon tank. Cylinder deactivation is standard on the Quadrifoglio. It allows the right bank of cylinders to shut down during light loads such as highway cruising. An auto start-stop system is also standard to improve fuel economy during day-to-day use. Something that should be really appreciated about this car is that it doesn't try to be anything else but an Alfa Romeo. This is especially important as you'd be hard-pressed to find any evidence of part sharing between the Giulia and other FCA products. Everything from the thin-rimmed steering wheel to the switchgear and even the infotainment system are new. While it's not quite at the same level as BMW or Mercedes, the Alfa offers a refined and well-built environment that eclipses the Cadillac ATS and matches the quality seen in the Jaguar XE. It's also surprisingly quiet with very little road noise, but not quiet enough to necessitate the use of electronically enhanced engine and exhaust notes. What you hear is the real deal. Along with an acoustic windshield, you also have acoustic laminated side glass. Of course, the Quadrifoglio benefits from an abundant use of premium materials, such as leather and Alcantara, glossy carbon fiber, aluminum, and a handful of color contrast stitching options. The dashboard and door panels can even be had with red or white accents if an all-black interior isn't really your thing. What sets the Giulia apart from the competition is how it feels and appeals to your senses. The asymmetric layout of the dashboard is modern and artful with a notable dose of Italian flavor. This creates a driver-focused cockpit that places all the important controls within immediate reach. The Quadrifoglio's front seats are unique. In fact, depending on what your primary planes of use are, there's 2 styles available. The standard set shown here offers full power adjustment, lumbar, manual thigh support, driver side memory, and 3-stage heating. They really hold you in tight but offer plenty of support and padding to ensure comfort remains a priority. However, if you're looking to save weight and gain even more aggressive bolstering, carbon fiber Sparco racing seats are available. They nix the heated seats and most of the power adjustments, but offer maximum lateral support for hard cornering on a track. As far as safety, the Giulia's interior is protected by multi-stage front airbags, front seat mounted side airbags, front and rear side curtain airbags, and knee airbags for the driver and passenger. If you decide to opt for the Drive Assistance Dynamic package, adaptive cruise control with full stop is added, along with forward collision warning with automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning with steering assist, automatic high beams, and an infrared windshield. The dash is very fluidic in nature. I love how the infotainment system appears to flow into the instrument cluster. It's a really cool piece of detail, and when the car is turned off you can't even see anything there, so it's very simple appearing. The instrument cluster is very easy to read. You have a digital information display perched right in the middle, not to mention a standard dual-zone automatic climate control system. A heated steering wheel is standard on the Quadrifoglio. The Giulia is available with 2 audio systems and radio styles. On the entry model, you have a 6.5-inch radio with voice recognition, HD, AM, and FM radio, Bluetooth technology, USB and auxiliary integration, and a rotary controller. The Giulia TI upgrades to an 8.8-inch widescreen display. Navigation and SiriusXM satellite radio are available for both systems. The Quadrifoglio comes standard with all of those features, including the larger display. As far as audio, all models feature an 8-speaker sound system, but with the TI and Quadrifoglio, you can also opt for a 900-watt Harman Kardon audio system, which includes 14 speakers, a subwoofer, and a 12-channel amplifier. The infotainment system packs many of the features you would expect out of a car like this, including performance pages and telemetry data. About the only things that are missing are some smartphone integration technologies like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The system is very intuitive and almost works like a simpler version of BMW's iDrive system, right down to the rotary controller. The controller also incorporates a touchpad on top, so when you're in navigation you can move your fingers across the pad and control various functions. Everything is grouped together in the center console, so even though the Giulia does without a touchscreen, it doesn't even matter, it's very simple. Now let's go ahead and see how she sounds. Next, let's go ahead and shut her down, and we'll head to the back seat and check out overall space and amenities. The Giulia's back seat is right on par with what you would expect in this segment as far as ingress and egress and overall interior space. That being said, there's not a ton of space back here, so if you're over 6 feet, it might start to get a bit tight. I'm 5'10", and with a comfortable seating position for myself in front, I'll probably have about 2.5 to 3 inches of leg space and maybe about 1.5 inches or so of headspace. Generally speaking, the Giulia can sit up to 4 people comfortably, or 5 in a pinch, as there is a spot for a middle person, but it's most likely going to be reserved for smaller folks. One downside back here is that you don't have a fold-down armrest, so there's nothing to put your arm on right here, and you don't have any additional cup holders. There are some other storage bits, though, across the lower door panels, just little pockets, as well as seatback storage pockets. The seats themselves are definitely on the firm side. There's not a whole lot of lateral support, but there's excellent lower back support. You also have 2 adjustable headrests. Of course, just like the front, backseat build quality is fantastic. Everything has a nice solid feel to it, and you have a lot of premium materials used throughout. As far as amenities are concerned, you have grip handles up top, coat hooks, LED reading lights, the storage that I mentioned a second ago, adjustable air vents in the bottom console, and a USB port for charging devices. So that's pretty much it for back here. Very simple environment. Now let's head towards the rear and check out trunk space. The Giulia has a respectable 13.4 cubic feet of cargo space, but one strange omission for this segment is the fact that the rear seat does not fold down. The Quadrifoglio doesn't even have a trunk pass-through, so you do compromise a little bit in practicality when compared to the rest of the competition. Still, I'd say cargo space is fairly generous for this segment. What space is there was used pretty efficiently, especially with the little tucked away portion off to the left. On the right side, you have a little compartment that houses the vehicle's battery. In the trunk floor, you have cargo tie-downs, and underneath there's a spot to put the storage net and the tire inflation system. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Be sure to stay tuned next time, leave a like and subscribe today. There's always a lot more where that came from. Take care everyone.